Ambassador Chen Li stood in the Grand Hall of the Galactic Council, and she felt very small. The room was enormous, bigger than any stadium on Earth. Above her, 47 different species sat in floating platforms that circled the center stage. Some looked like insects with too many eyes. Others were made of what seemed like living crystal. A few were so strange that Chen could not even understand what she was looking at. She had been preparing for this moment for 3 years. Earth had finally created faster-than-light travel in 2245. They had reached the stars, and within 2 months they found out they were not alone. The Galactic Council had been watching Earth for 200 years. Now Chen stood here with her team of 5 other humans. They wore their best diplomatic uniforms, dark blue with the United Earth symbol on their chests. Around them, thousands of aliens watched from observation decks. This was the biggest event in Council history in the last 1,000 years. A new species was joining the galactic community, but something felt wrong. Chen could feel it in her bones. The High Arbiter, a creature named Zexthor, rose from his platform. He looked like a massive praying mantis, 3 meters tall with green armor-like skin and 4 arms. His voice came through Chen's translator device, cold and mechanical. "We have reviewed your species," Zexthor said. "For 2 centuries we have observed Earth. We have studied your history. We have analyzed your culture. And we have reached a decision." Chen's heart beat faster. Beside her, Commander Maria Santos, dressed in civilian clothes but still carrying herself like the military officer she was, tensed slightly. "Your species has a dark history," Zexthor continued. "In the last 500 years alone, you have fought 2 world wars. You created nuclear weapons and used them on your own kind. You have destroyed vast parts of your planet's ecosystem. You have committed genocide against your own people. You still have nations that refuse to cooperate with each other." Murmurs rose from the observation decks. Chen heard the word primitives translated from several different languages. "Furthermore," Zexthor said, raising one of his clawed hands, "your planet is what we classify as a Class 12 death world. Your gravity is higher than 70% of known civilized worlds. Your atmosphere contains toxins that would kill most species. Your native diseases are terrifyingly aggressive, and your species evolved through constant violence." A hologram appeared in the center of the room. It showed Earth's history, wars, weapons, destruction. Every bad thing humanity had ever done displayed for all to see. "You are apex predators," another council member said. This one looked like a floating jellyfish with glowing tentacles. "Your eyes face forward. You have teeth designed to tear flesh. You consume other living creatures for sustenance. This is highly unusual among civilized species." Chen wanted to speak, but the council had not given her permission yet. That was their first rule. Speak only when spoken to. She gripped her hands behind her back, nails digging into her palms. "The council has voted," Zexthor announced. 43 members voted yes. 4 voted no. The decision is clear. "Here it comes," Chen thought. "Humanity is classified as a Category 5 threat species," Zexthor said. The room fell silent. "This is the highest threat level we can assign. In the interest of galactic peace and safety, we cannot allow your species to roam freely among the stars." "What does that mean?" Chen asked, breaking protocol. She did not care anymore. Zexthor's insect-like face turned toward her. "It means you have 30 days to comply with our demands. You will surrender all military spacecraft. You will surrender all weapons of mass destruction. You will allow Council peacekeepers on Earth and all your colonies. You will submit to our guidance and oversight. If you refuse, we will implement containment protocols." "Containment protocols?" Commander Santos asked, her voice hard. "We will destroy your FTL capabilities," Zexthor said simply. "We will establish a blockade around your solar system. No ship leaves. No ship enters. You will remain in your home system until such time as you prove you are civilized enough to join the galaxy. This could take centuries, perhaps millennia." Chen felt like she had been punched in the stomach. Humanity had just reached the stars. They had just discovered they were not alone. And now they were being told to stay home, locked in their room like misbehaving children. "You're judging us based on our past," Chen said, stepping forward. "Yes, we've made mistakes. But we've also created beautiful art. We've built civilizations. We've sent people to other worlds through pure determination. We've overcome disease and hunger. We're getting better." "Your progress is insufficient," a council member who looked like a bird with 6 wings said. "You still wage war. Just 5 years ago, the South American conflict killed 3 million of your people. That was a tragedy, Chen admitted. But it ended through diplomacy. We learned. We're learning. Too slowly, Zexthor said. The Council has existed for 50,000 years. In that time we have maintained peace. We have created a civilization spanning 300,000 light years. We did this by being careful, by screening species before they join us, by removing threats before they can spread. We're not a threat, Chen said. The vote says otherwise, Zexthor replied. You have 30 days. Comply or face the consequences. Chen looked at her team. Maria Santos looked angry, her jaw clenched. Dr. Ravi Kapoor, their science advisor, looked devastated. The others seemed shocked, unable to process what was happening. Chen turned back to face Zexthor and the entire council. She squared her shoulders. She thought about Earth, about her 2 children back home, about all the people who had worked so hard to reach this moment. She thought about every human who had ever looked up at the stars and dreamed of walking among them. No, Chen said clearly. The room fell completely silent. What did you say? Zexthor asked. I said no, Chen repeated louder this time. Humanity bows to no one. We will not surrender our ships. We will not surrender our freedom. We will not accept your judgment. Zexthor made a sound like buzzing laughter. Other council members joined in. The sound was horrible, like insects swarming. You cannot refuse, Zexthor said. You have 100 ships in your entire fleet. We have tens of thousands. You have 3 colonies outside your system. We have 3 million worlds. You are children playing with toys. We are the adults who decide your fate. Then I guess we'll see what happens, Chen said. Her voice did not shake. You've made your choice. We've made ours. Foolish, Zexthor said, waving a claw dismissively. Return to your world. Tell your leaders. 30 days. After that, we will come. Chen and her team were escorted out of the Grand Hall. As they walked through the corridors of the council building, aliens stared at them. Some looked curious. Most looked at them like they were already extinct. In the shuttle back to their ship, no one spoke for a long time. Finally, Commander Santos broke the silence. They have no idea what they just did, she said quietly. Chen looked at her. Maria Santos had a strange smile on her face. Not happy, not sad. Something else. Something dangerous. What do you mean? Chen asked. Santos leaned forward. Ambassador, there's something you need to know. Something only a few people on Earth know. I was sent on this mission as your security chief, yes. But that's not my only job. Go on, Chen said. For the last 75 years, ever since we detected the first signs of alien life, Earth's government has been preparing. Not preparing for first contact. Preparing for war. Dr. Kapoor gasped. What? That's impossible. I would have known. The scientific community would have known. That's the point, Santos said. It's classified beyond top secret. We have hidden shipyards. We have weapons they can't imagine. We have war plans for exactly this scenario. The politicians always hoped for peace. The military always prepared for war. How bad is it? Chen asked. Santos looked out the window at the stars. Bad. The council has no idea what humans are capable of. They've been watching us, sure. But they've been watching our civilian activities. They don't know about the other stuff. The hidden stuff. They said they've been observing us for 200 years, Chen said. And we've been observing them for 50, Santos replied. We found their observation post decades ago. We learned to hide from them. We learned to show them only what we wanted them to see. We've been studying them too, learning their weaknesses, their fears, how they think, how they fight. Chen felt a chill run down her spine. You're saying we wanted this to happen? No, Santos said. We hoped it wouldn't. We hoped they'd welcome us. But we planned for the alternative. And now that it's here, we're ready. Their pilot, Lieutenant James Park, spoke up from the cockpit. Ambassador, I'm getting a coded transmission from Earth Fleet Command. It's for Commander Santos, eyes only. Santos moved to the front and read the message on a secured screen. When she came back, her face was grim. They want us home immediately, Santos said. They're recalling all human ships from Council space. As of this moment, we're in a state of emergency. War? Chen asked. Not yet, Santos said, but close. Earth needs 30 days to finish preparations. The Council gave us 30 days. Interesting coincidence, isn't it? Chen realized what Santos was saying. We knew they would do this. We had a 90% certainty based on our analysis of council history and psychology, Santos confirmed. Every species they've ever encountered, they either welcomed immediately or suppressed. There's no middle ground. They knew about our wars, our weapons, our death world origin. We knew they'd see us as a threat. So this was a test, Chen said. You sent me here knowing what would happen. No, Santos said firmly. We sent you here hoping we were wrong, hoping they'd surprise us, hoping they'd be better than our analysis suggested. But yes, we prepared for this outcome. Chen sat back in her chair. She felt manipulated, but she also understood. If the council was judging them as a threat, maybe they had good reason. Because humanity was dangerous. Humanity was preparing for war. What happens now? Dr. Kapoor asked. Now we go home, Santos said. We tell Earth what happened. And we let the military do what the military does best. Which is? Kapoor asked, though he sounded like he did not want to know the answer. Santos smiled that dangerous smile again. We show the galaxy what happens when you corner a death world species. When you judge us without knowing us, when you threaten our freedom. Their ship accelerated toward the system's edge where they could safely engage their FTL drive. Behind them, the capital world of the Galactic Council sparkled like a jewel in space. Peaceful, confident, sure of its power. Chen looked back at it through the window. She thought about Zexthor's dismissive laughter. She thought about the Council's arrogance. They thought humans were primitives. They thought this would be easy. In 30 days, they would learn the truth. Chen whispered to herself, too quiet for the others to hear. You have no idea what you just started. Far away, on one of the Council platforms, observer Tivek watched the human ship depart. Tivek was one of the 4 Council members who had voted against the classification. His species, the Krill, had been warriors once, long ago. They understood violence in a way most Council species had forgotten. Tivek had studied the humans carefully. He had read their literature, watched their entertainment, analyzed their military history. And he had seen something the others missed. Humans were not just warriors. They were survivors. They evolved on a world that tried to kill them every day. They learned to fight everything, nature, disease, each other. They never stopped adapting, never stopped improving, never stopped fighting. The other Council members saw primitive violence. Tivek saw directed ferocity. There was a difference. He brought up the human military records that the Council had reviewed. Most of it was 200 years old or older. Recent data was sparse. The humans had become very good at hiding things in the last century. Why would a species that just discovered FTL need to hide anything? Tivek felt something he had not felt in a very long time. Fear. He opened a private communication channel to his home government. Begin emergency defensive preparations, he said. I believe we have made a terrible mistake. The emergency session of the United Earth government began exactly 4 hours after Ambassador Chen's ship entered Earth's orbit. Every major leader from every nation appeared on the massive holographic display. The room was deep underground, beneath the UEG headquarters in Geneva. It was built to survive a nuclear war. Today, it might need to survive something worse. President Sarah Okonkwo of the United African States called the meeting to order. She was the current rotating chair of the UEG Security Council. Her face looked tired. She had been awake for 36 hours straight since receiving the first coded transmission from Chen's team. Ambassador Chen, President Okonkwo said, please give your full report. Chen stood at the podium and told them everything. She held nothing back. When she finished, the room was silent. Then everyone tried to talk at once. Order, Okonkwo shouted. One at a time. Premier Volkov, you have the floor. The Russian premier leaned forward on his display. This is what we planned for. This is exactly what we planned for. I say we activate Protocol Omega immediately. We should try diplomacy again, the Brazilian president argued. Perhaps if we explain what? The Indian Prime Minister interrupted. They've already judged us. They gave us 30 days and then threatened to imprison us in our own solar system. There's nothing to explain. Admiral Webb, President Okonkwo said, turning to a man standing in the corner. Your assessment? Admiral Marcus Webb stepped into the light. He was 68 years old, with gray hair cut military short and a face covered in scars from the South American conflict. He had been Earth's top military commander for 10 years. More importantly, he had been the director of Project Olympus for the last 15. We can win. Webb said simply. The room erupted again. Webb waited for silence, then continued. The council thinks they know us. They don't. They've been watching our civilian populations, our news broadcasts, our public military exercises. They haven't been watching the things we didn't want them to watch. Webb activated a hologram in the center of the room. It showed the solar system, but with additions that made everyone lean forward. 75 years ago, we detected the Council's observation satellites watching Earth. Webb explained. We didn't destroy them. We learned from them. We reverse-engineered their stealth technology. Then we made it better. Once we could hide from them, we started building. The hologram zoomed to the asteroid belt. Hundreds of red dots appeared. Hidden shipyards, Webb said. 37 facilities carved into asteroids. From the outside, they look like mining operations. Inside, we've been building warships, not the patrol boats and science vessels the Council has seen. Real warships, and how many? Chen asked. 4,312 combat-ready vessels, Webb said. Another 800 in various stages of construction. The room fell silent. Everyone had known about the hidden military programs, but no one except the Security Council knew the numbers. That's not all, Webb continued. The hologram changed, showing the Kuiper Belt at the edge of the solar system. We have defense platforms, automated weapon systems, mines. The Council fleet will have to cross 40 astronomical units of defended space to reach Earth. Every meter will cost them. What about their numbers? The Chinese premier asked. Our intelligence says they have tens of thousands of ships. They do, Webb confirmed. But quantity isn't everything. The Council hasn't fought a real war in 12,000 years. They've done peacekeeping missions. They've suppressed primitive species. They've never faced a peer opponent. We have. He looked around the room. Every nation represented here has military experience. Real combat experience. From the last 500 years. Commander Santos stepped forward. She had been standing quietly beside Chen. The Council's military doctrine is conservative. They rely on superior numbers and overwhelming force. They follow predictable patterns. We've studied 50 different Council military operations from their public records. They always do the same thing. Mass approach, surround the enemy, demand surrender, then attack if refused. And we'll do what they don't expect, Webb said. We'll be unpredictable, aggressive. We'll use tactics they've never seen. Because we've been fighting each other for centuries, we know every dirty trick, every unconventional strategy. Every way to cheat, Dr. Yuki Tanaka spoke up from her screen. She was appearing remotely from a classified location. And we have Project Damocles. The temperature in the room seemed to drop. Even President Okonkwo looked uncomfortable. Do we need to discuss that? Okonkwo asked quietly. They need to know it exists, Tanaka said. They need to understand what we're capable of. Webb nodded. Dr. Tanaka, proceed. Tanaka brought up another hologram. It showed a strange device like a ring made of metal and energy. 30 years ago, our deep space probes found something. An ancient alien installation near Proxima Centauri. It was millions of years old. The species that built it is long extinct, but the device still worked. What does it do? Chan asked. It creates wormholes, Tanaka said. Instant connections between 2 points in space. The ancient aliens used it for travel. We weaponized it. She changed the hologram. It now showed a large asteroid. We can open a wormhole and push matter through it. We spent 10 years testing. 5 years ago, we successfully transported a 10-kilometer asteroid from the Oort cloud to a test destination. Instantly. Then we crashed it into an uninhabited moon. The impact was equivalent to a 10,000 megaton bomb. God in heaven, the Brazilian president whispered. We call it Project Damocles, Tanaka continued. After the ancient story, a sword hanging by a thread over someone's head. We have identified 12,000 large asteroids in our Oort cloud and Kuiper belt. We have the coordinates for every Council homeworld, every major military base, every industrial center. If we want, we can drop asteroids on them from across the galaxy. They would have no warning. No defense. That's genocide, someone said. Yes, Tanaka agreed quietly. It is, and we will not use it except as a last resort. But they need to know it exists. They need to know what happens if they try to destroy us. President Okonkwo rubbed her temples. Anything else we should know about? The AI systems, Webb said. The Council bans military artificial intelligence. They think it's too dangerous. We've been developing combat AI for 40 years. Every ship, every platform, every weapon system has an AI managing it. Our reaction times are measured in microseconds. Theirs are measured in seconds. We also have biological weapons research, another general added. We've been collecting genetic samples from every council species we've encountered. We know their weaknesses. Are we the bad guys? The Brazilian president asked suddenly. Are they right to fear us? The room went quiet. Chen found herself wondering the same thing. Had humanity become the monster the council thought they were? No, Webb said firmly. We're survivors. We prepared for the worst while hoping for the best. They're the ones who judged us without knowing us. They're the ones who threatened us. We're just refusing to roll over and die. We need to vote, President Okonkwo said. Protocol Omega activation requires unanimous Security Council approval. If we do this, we're choosing war. They already chose war, Premier Volkov said. They just don't know it yet. The vote was called. One by one, the leaders voted. Chen watched, holding her breath. When the last vote came in, it was unanimous. Protocol Omega is active, President Okonkwo announced. Admiral Webb, the military is yours. Do what needs to be done, Webb saluted. Understood, Madam President. We have 30 days. We'll be ready. As the meeting ended and the holograms winked out, Chen approached Webb. Do you really think we can win? Webb looked at her. His eyes were hard but honest. I think we'll make them bleed for every light year. I think they'll regret underestimating us. Win? We'll see. But we won't go quietly. Across the galaxy, the Council fleet began to assemble. 2,000 ships, the largest peacekeeping force ever gathered, prepared to travel to the Sol system. Their commanders were confident. After all, they were dealing with primitives, species that had just discovered FTL. This would be simple. High Arbiter Zexthor reviewed the fleet composition on his private display. Cruisers, battleships, carriers, all equipped with shields that could withstand nuclear weapons, all armed with plasma weapons that could crack a moon in half. The humans had nothing like this. They would take one look at the fleet and surrender. They had to. Sir, his aide said, we're picking up unusual activity in the human solar system. Define unusual, Zexthor said. Increased ship movements, energy signatures from multiple locations. They appear to be fortifying. Zexthor laughed, that buzzing insect sound. Let them. It won't matter. Launch the fleet in 25 days. Give them time to reconsider. Maybe they'll be smart and surrender early. But far away, Observer Tvek was reading very different reports. His species had spies, real spies, who could infiltrate human systems. The reports they sent back were disturbing. The humans were not preparing to surrender. They were preparing for total war. Ships were launching from hidden facilities. Weapons were being moved into position. And most disturbing, human military communications had gone completely dark. Whatever they were planning, they didn't want anyone to know. Tvek composed a message to Zexthor, warning him. Then he hesitated. Would the High Arbiter listen? Would anyone listen? The Council was so sure of its superiority. He sent the message anyway. Recommend increased caution. Human military preparations exceed expected parameters. Suggest diplomatic solution. Zexthor's response came back within an hour. Your concern is noted but unnecessary. The fleet launches as planned. The humans will comply or be contained. There is no third option. Tvek closed the communication and looked at a star map showing the human solar system. Such a small, young species. But something about them worried him deeply. His people had an old saying, the most dangerous prey is the one that stops running and turns to face you. The humans had stopped running. On Earth, the countdown continued. Military personnel moved to their stations. Civilian populations in the colonies began evacuations. Children were sent to deep space havens. Everything that made humans valuable, their art, their history, their culture, was backed up and hidden across the solar system. Admiral Webb stood on the bridge of the EFS Indomitable, humanity's largest warship. It had been built in secret over 15 years, assembled piece by piece inside a hollowed asteroid. The Council had never seen it. No one outside Earth's military command knew it existed. Status report, Webb ordered. All fleets report ready, sir, his executive officer said. Defense platforms active. Weapons armed. AI systems online. And Damocles? Dr. Tanaka confirms ready status, sir. She says she can target any coordinates in the galaxy within 30 seconds. Webb nodded. He looked out at Earth, beautiful and blue below them. He thought about his grandchildren down there, about every human who had ever lived, every human who would ever be born. The Council thought they were judging a primitive species. They were wrong. They were threatening a species that had climbed to the top of the food chain on a death world. A species that had split the atom before they left their planet. A species that had nearly destroyed themselves a dozen times and came back stronger each time. Humanity's greatest weakness was also their greatest strength. They never gave up, never surrendered, never stopped fighting. Broadcast to all ships, Webb ordered. All personnel, this is Admiral Webb. In 25 days we will face an enemy that outnumbers us 10 to 1. They think we're primitives, they think this will be easy. Let's show them what happens when humans are backed into a corner. Let's show them what Earth's children are made of. He paused, then finished. They wanted to see what we are. They're about to find out. Webb out. Across the solar system, on 4,000 ships and hundreds of defense platforms, humans prepared for war. They checked their weapons. They ran simulations. They said goodbye to loved ones. They did what humans had always done when threatened. They got ready to fight. Day 28 of the ultimatum arrived with terrible certainty. The Council fleet dropped out of FTL at the edge of the Sol system, near Neptune's orbit. 2,000 ships materialized in space, their hulls gleaming with shield energy. It was the most powerful military force ever assembled by the Galactic Council. Commander Vexillar stood on the bridge of the flagship, the Eternal Judgment. He was a Thek, a species that looked like armored bears standing upright. His people had been warriors before joining the Council, but that was 8,000 years ago. Now they were peacekeepers. This mission should be simple. Show overwhelming force. Accept the human surrender. Go home. Sir, we're detecting human ships, his sensor officer reported. How many? Vexler asked. 17 vessels. Primitive designs. They're holding position near Neptune. Vexlar pulled up the visual display. The human ships were small, barely a tenth the size of Council cruisers. They looked like they were built from scrap metal. Pathetic. Only 17? Vexlar said. Where's the rest of their fleet? Unknown, sir. These appear to be patrol craft. Open a channel to the human vessels, Vexlar ordered. A human face appeared on the screen. It was Admiral Webb, though Vexlar didn't know his name. The human looked old, scarred, and completely unafraid. This is Commander Vexillar of the Galactic Council Peacekeeping Fleet, Vexillar announced. Your 30 days have expired. You will surrender immediately or face containment protocols. Webb smiled. It was not a friendly smile. This is Admiral Marcus Webb of the Earth Defense Force. You have entered our solar system with a hostile fleet. You have threatened our home world. You have one chance to turn around and leave. This is your only warning. Vexlar couldn't believe what he was hearing. You have 17 ships. We have 2,000. You cannot win. Surrender now and no one needs to die. No, Webb said simply. Then you choose extinction. Vexlar replied. He cut the transmission. All ships, battle formation. Prepare to engage the human vessels. Disable them if possible. Destroy them if necessary. The Council fleet began its advance. They moved slowly, maintaining formation. This was standard peacekeeping doctrine. Show discipline. Show power. Let the enemy see what they're facing and lose hope. Webb watched the Council fleet advance on his tactical display. They're doing exactly what we predicted, he said to his crew. They think this is a peacekeeping mission. They're about to learn it's a war. Sir, weapons range in 90 seconds. His tactical officer reported. Hold, Webb ordered. Let them get closer. The Council ships continued forward. Vexlar felt confident. The human ships weren't even moving. They were just sitting there waiting to die. Sir, I'm detecting strange readings from Neptune, the sensor officer said. Energy signatures. Lots of them. From the planet? Vexlar asked. No, sir. From the clouds. From the atmosphere. It's like there's something inside. The officer never finished his sentence. Neptune's atmosphere erupted. Thousands of objects burst from the gas giant's clouds. They were small, each about the size of a fighter craft, but they moved with impossible speed and precision. They swarmed toward the Council fleet like angry hornets. Combat drones, someone shouted. Thousands of them. Vexler stared in shock. How? When did humans put drones in Neptune? How long had they been hiding there? The drones opened fire. They didn't use plasma weapons or energy beams like council ships. They used mass drivers, simple kinetic weapons that threw metal slugs at incredible speeds. The slugs slammed into council shields at thousands of meters per second. At first, the shields held, but the drones didn't stop firing. Hundreds of them focused on single ships, hammering the same shield points over and over. The shields began to flicker. Then fail, return fire, Vexler ordered. All ships engage the drones. The council fleet's plasma weapons lit up space. They hit dozens of drones, vaporizing them instantly. But for every drone destroyed, 10 more took its place. And they kept firing, kept moving, never staying in one place long enough to be an easy target. Then the second wave hit. From the outer edges of the solar system, from the Kuiper Belt, massive railgun platforms activated. They had been sitting silent and cold, invisible to sensors, waiting. Now they fired. The railgun slugs were huge. Each one the size of a bus made of solid tungsten, accelerated to 90% of light speed. At that velocity, they weren't weapons anymore. They were relativistic kill vehicles. Physics itself became a weapon. The first slug hit a council battleship dead center. The ship's shields barely slowed it down. The slug punched through the hull like it wasn't there, through the reactor out the other side, and kept going. The battleship broke in half. Its reactor went critical. The explosion destroyed 2 nearby ships. Evasive action, Vexler screamed. All ships scatter. But the council fleet was in formation, close together, perfect targets. The railgun platforms kept firing. Each shot took minutes to reach its target. But at those speeds, the council ships had seconds to react. Their point defense systems were designed for plasma torpedoes and missiles, not solid metal moving at relativistic speeds. Ships began to die. 1, 10, 50, 100. We need to retreat. Vexlar's second-in-command shouted, No! Vexlar snarled. We have 2,000 ships. Push forward. Get to those platforms and destroy them. The council fleet tried to advance, but the human drones were everywhere. They had split into attack groups. Some focused on engines, crippling ships' mobility. Others targeted sensors, blinding them. Others went for weapon systems, and they were learning. The human AI controlling the drones adapted to every council defensive tactic within seconds. When the council tried jamming, the drones switched to different frequencies. When the council focused their point defense, the drones attacked from different angles. It was like fighting a single intelligent entity with thousands of bodies. Then Admiral Webb gave the order that changed everything. All ships attack pattern Sigma. Execute. The 17 human ships that had been sitting still suddenly moved. But they didn't attack the council fleet, they ran. They turned and accelerated away at full speed, engines burning bright. They're retreating, someone on the council flagship shouted. After them, Vexlar ordered. Don't let them escape. It was a trap. Of course it was a trap. But Vexlar didn't see it. He was too angry, too embarrassed that primitive humans were hurting his fleet. 500 council ships broke formation and chased the retreating humans. They chased them right into the minefield. The mines had been placed months ago, hidden among Neptune's outer moons, dormant and silent. Now they activated. They weren't traditional mines. They were munitions that the humans called cassava howitzers, shaped nuclear charges that focused the explosion in one direction, creating a lance of radiation and plasma. The mines detonated. 50 nuclear explosions, all perfectly positioned, all aimed at the charging council ships. The shields that could withstand plasma weapons couldn't handle nuclear fire at close range. Ships died by the dozens. The surviving council ships tried to retreat, but now they ran into the second wave of drones, the ones that had been waiting on the other side of the minefield. These drones didn't use mass drivers. They were suicide drones packed with antimatter warheads. They rammed council ships and detonated. The battle had lasted 4 hours. When it ended, Vexlar stood on the bridge of his damaged flagship and looked at the casualty reports. He couldn't breathe, couldn't think. 837 ships destroyed, 300 more too damaged to fight. Out of 2,000 ships, he had less than 900 combat-effective vessels left. The humans had lost 11 drones for every council ship destroyed. But drones didn't have families, didn't have names. The humans had lost 17 ships in the final exchange, when they stopped running and turned to fight. But those 17 ships had taken 40 Council vessels with them. "Sir," his communications officer said quietly, "we're receiving a transmission. From the humans. It's on all frequencies. They want the whole galaxy to see." "Put it on screen," Vexillar said numbly. Admiral Webb's face appeared. He looked tired but satisfied. Behind him, damage control teams worked on the bridge of the Indomitable, which had survived the battle despite heavy damage. "People of the Galactic Council," Webb said, "you sent 2,000 ships to conquer Earth, to force us into submission, to judge us as primitives. We sent you a message today. We are not primitives. We are survivors. We are fighters. We are humans. And we will not surrender. Not today. Not tomorrow. Not ever." He leaned forward, his scarred face filling the screen. "Tell your leaders. Tell your commanders. If you come for Earth, you will bleed. Every light year will cost you. Every planet will be a battle. We didn't start this war, but we will finish it. On our terms." The transmission ended. Vexillar stood in silence. Around him, his crew waited for orders. But what orders could he give? They had come to suppress a primitive species. Instead, they had been mauled by an enemy that fought like nothing in Council history. The humans didn't fight honorably. They used tricks, traps, weapons that violated every Council doctrine. They hid their forces. They targeted commanders. They used suicide tactics. They fought like they were trying to win at any cost. Because they were. Because for humans, this wasn't a peacekeeping mission. It was survival. "Get me a quantum link to High Arbiter Zexthor," Vexillar ordered finally. "He needs to know what we're facing." Across the galaxy, the news of the Battle of Neptune spread like fire. Every species in the Council saw the footage. Saw the human drones swarming. Saw the railgun platforms firing. Saw Council ships, the pride of galactic civilization, being torn apart by a species that had FTL for less than 3 years. In the Council chambers, chaos erupted. How is this possible? The humans were primitives. They had barely 100 ships. The intelligence reports must have been wrong. Catastrophically wrong. High Arbiter Zexthor received Vexillar's report in his private chambers. He read it 3 times, refusing to believe it. Then he watched the battle recordings. His mandibles clicked together in agitation. "This changes nothing," he said to his advisors. "They got lucky. They prepared one ambush. We will adapt. We will send a larger fleet. 20,000 ships. 30,000 if needed. We cannot let this stand. If other species see that humans can defy the Council, our authority is finished." "Sir," one advisor dared to say, "perhaps we should negotiate. The humans clearly have capabilities we didn't anticipate." "No," Zexthor said firmly. "The Council does not negotiate with Category 5 threats. We contain them. We suppress them, or we destroy them. Those are the only options. Prepare the Grand Armada. We will crush Earth and make an example of them." But in a private chamber, Observer Tivek watched the same recordings and felt cold dread. He had tried to warn them, had tried to make them see. The humans weren't just advanced. They were strategic, creative, ruthless when threatened, and they had only shown a fraction of their capabilities. The battle at Neptune was not humanity fighting desperately. It was humanity sending a message. Tivek opened a secure channel to his homeworld. "Withdraw our fleet from Council territory, now. Recall all our people from Council space. We're leaving the Alliance." "Sir, we can't," his aide protested. "We can and we will," Tivek said. "The Council is about to fight a war they cannot win. When it's over, I don't want our species remembered as the ones who helped try to exterminate humanity, because that's what this is becoming, attempted genocide. And I believe the humans will win, because they're willing to do whatever it takes, and we're not." On Earth, celebrations were brief. Yes, they had won the first battle, but everyone knew it was just the beginning. The Council wouldn't stop. They couldn't stop. Their pride wouldn't let them. Admiral Webb stood in the war room, looking at updated intelligence reports. The Council was mobilizing everything. Every ship. Every weapon. Every species in their alliance was being called on to contribute to the Grand Armada. "They're going to throw everything at us," Commander Santos said. "Good," Webb replied. "Let them gather their forces. Let them spend time organizing and mobilizing, because every day they waste we're preparing, digging in, getting stronger." "Can we really win?" Santos asked quietly. Webb looked at her. "I don't know. But we're going to make them pay such a price that even if they win, they'll wish they hadn't started this. We're going to make them learn the most important lesson in human history. Which is? Webb smiled grimly. Never corner something meaner than you. And humans are always meaner when we're cornered. 3 months after the Battle of Neptune, the galaxy was on fire, not with plasma and explosions, though there was plenty of that. It burned with fear, confusion, and something the Galactic Council had not felt in thousands of years. Uncertainty. The Council's Grand Armada was still assembling. 20,000 ships from 43 different species, all preparing to descend on the Sol system and end the human problem once and for all. But while they gathered their forces, humans went to work. The war spread across the galaxy in ways the Council never expected. Because humans didn't fight like civilized species, they fought dirty. On Velkis Prime, capital world of the Velkisian people, the morning news broadcasts were interrupted. Every screen, every hologram, every communication device suddenly showed the same thing: a human woman sitting at a desk. She looked professional, calm, and spoke clearly in perfect Velkisian. "Good morning, people of Velkis," she said. "My name is Lieutenant Sarah Kim of Earth Intelligence. I'm here to tell you the truth your government doesn't want you to know." She began showing documents, secret council files, communications between the council and the Velkisian government, evidence that the council had been manipulating Velkisian elections for 300 years, evidence that they had suppressed Velkisian technology to keep them dependent, evidence that the Velkisian leadership was paid to keep their people in line. "Your leaders sold you out," Kim said simply. "They traded your freedom for comfort, and now they want you to send your children to die fighting humans, fighting us because we refuse to do the same thing you should have done centuries ago. We refused to submit." The broadcast ended, but it was too late. The information was out. Within hours, protests erupted across Velkis Prime. Within days, the Velkisian government was in crisis. Within 2 weeks, they withdrew their forces from the Council Armada. The same thing happened on 12 other worlds. Human intelligence operatives, who had been infiltrating Council space for decades, activated simultaneously. They leaked secrets, exposed corruption, showed internal Council communications that revealed how little the Council thought of their lesser member species. The Council's unity began to crack, but the information warfare was just the beginning. Human hackers, using AI systems that could think at speeds no organic mind could match, penetrated the Council's banking networks. In a single coordinated attack, they crashed the entire financial system. Stock markets collapsed. Currency values plummeted. Trade froze. The Council tried to fight back, but human cyber warfare was decades ahead of anything they had seen. Every time they closed one breach, humans opened 10 more. Every firewall they built, human AI tore down in seconds. And then there was the psychological warfare. That was the worst part, because humans had studied every Council species carefully. They knew their fears, their traumas, their weaknesses. The Thek, the bear-like warriors, were proud of their honor and history. Humans broadcast fake evidence that their ancient heroes were actually criminals and cowards. It wasn't true, but it didn't matter. The psychological damage was done. The Hilvari, a species of empaths, were bombarded with images and sounds of suffering. Real footage from the Battle of Neptune, from Council ships being destroyed, from their own soldiers dying. The Hilvari couldn't handle it. Their military contingent had a mental breakdown. Half of them deserted. The humans even used biological warfare, though not how the Council expected. They released harmless viruses into Council territory. The viruses didn't hurt anyone. They just made people sick for a few days. But the fear they caused was immense. Every species wondered, if humans can make us sick, can they kill us? The answer was yes, and humans made sure everyone knew it. This is barbaric. High Arbiter Zexthor raged in an emergency Council session. This is not how civilized species wage war. They're not civilized, another Council member said. That's the point. That's what we've been saying. Then we destroy them, Zexthor said. No more hesitation. No more mercy. We show the galaxy what happens when you defy the Council. But it was getting harder to hold the Council together. 4 more species withdrew from the alliance. 8 declared neutrality. The Grand Armada was down to 15,000 ships and morale was terrible. Meanwhile, the military war continued. Human ships, fast and agile, raided Council supply lines. They didn't fight fair battles. They ambushed convoys. They destroyed supply depots. They attacked shipyards. They used hit-and-run tactics that drove council commanders crazy. Every time the council gathered forces for a major assault, the humans would strike somewhere else. It was like fighting smoke, like fighting ghosts. Admiral Webb coordinated the campaign from the Indomitable, which had been repaired and upgraded after the Battle of Neptune. He moved constantly, never staying in one place long enough for the council to find him. "They're adapting," Commander Santos reported during one strategy meeting. "They've started using unpredictable patrol routes, random inspection points. They're learning." "Good," Webb said. "The longer they learn, the more time we buy." "How are the colonies?" "Civilians evacuated from the forward positions. Military installations at full strength. If they come for the colonies, we'll make them bleed." Webb nodded. The strategy was working. They couldn't beat the council in a straight fight. Not yet, but they could bleed them, frustrate them, make them angry and careless. But Webb knew this couldn't last forever. Eventually, the council would gather enough forces for a final assault. They would come for Earth itself. And when that happened, humanity would have to play their final card. Project Damocles. Dr. Yuki Tanaka had been working on the project non-stop for 3 months. The ancient wormhole technology was reliable, but targeting needed to be perfect. One mistake and they could miss their target by light years. "We're ready," she told Admiral Webb during a secured communication. "We have 12,000 asteroids in position. We have coordinates for every major council installation, every homeworld, every military base. We can hit them all simultaneously if needed." "How long to fire?" Webb asked. "From order to impact, 30 seconds, Tanaka said. "The wormhole's open. The asteroid goes through. The wormhole closes. There's no defense. No warning. They just appear in orbit and fall." Webb felt sick. He was talking about genocide. About killing billions. But what choice did they have? The council wanted to imprison humanity forever, wanted to destroy their freedom. This was the only deterrent that might work. "Prepare for demonstration," Webb ordered. "One asteroid, one target. Make it visible. Make it something the whole galaxy can see." 3 days later, the council received a message. It was broadcast on every frequency and every language, from every human transmitter across the galaxy. "This is Admiral Marcus Webb of the Earth Defense Force. The council has been hunting us for 3 months. You've attacked our colonies. You've killed our people. You've tried to break us. Now we show you why that was a mistake." A star chart appeared, showing an uninhabited council world called Xerxes 4. It was a barren rock, no life, no value, but it was in council territory. "Watch," Webb said simply. On 10,000 ships, on 100 worlds, billions of beings watched their screens. They watched Xerxes 4, watched and waited. The asteroid appeared without warning. One moment, empty space. The next moment, a 10-kilometer rock was in orbit, already falling. It hit Xerxes 4 at 40 kilometers per second. The impact was visible from space. The asteroid punched through the crust like it wasn't there. It shattered the mantle. The shockwave traveled around the entire planet. Within minutes, the entire surface was molten. Within an hour, the planet began to break apart. The galaxy watched in horror as an entire world died. "This is Project Damocles," Webb's voice continued. "We have 12,000 asteroids positioned throughout the galaxy. Every council homeworld is targeted. Every major installation. Every military base. If you continue this war, if you attack Earth, if you try to destroy us, we will drop these asteroids. We will not surrender. We will not submit. And if we must die, we will take you with us." Dr. Tanaka appeared on screen next to Webb. She looked tired and sad. "I developed this weapon because I was ordered to. I hoped we'd never use it. But make no mistake, we will use it if we must. We have uploaded the target list to every news service in the galaxy. Everyone can see that we're not bluffing. Your homeworld, your family, your species, all of it can end in 30 seconds." The transmission ended. The galaxy fell silent. In the council chambers, chaos erupted. Species representatives screamed at each other. Some demanded immediate attack on Earth before the humans could use Damocles. Others demanded immediate peace. Still others simply fled, returning to their homeworlds to prepare defenses that wouldn't work. "This is a bluff," Zexthor insisted. "They wouldn't really. They destroyed an entire planet in front of us." Someone shouted back. "Oh, they showed us they can. They showed us they will." "They're genocidal maniacs," another voice cried. "No," Observer Tuvek said quietly. The room fell silent. Everyone turned to look at him. They're cornered. We tried to suppress them. We threatened their freedom, their very existence. And now they're showing us what happens when you push a death world species too far. This is our fault, not theirs. You dare defend them? Zexthor snarled. I dare tell the truth, Tvek said. We judged them without understanding them. We saw violence in their past and assumed they were primitive. We didn't see their restraint. For 3 months they've been fighting us, and they could have used Damocles at any time. They didn't. They used it on an empty world to prove a point. They're not genocidal. They're desperate. Then what do we do? Someone asked. We end this war, Tvek said, before it ends us. But Zexthor would not listen. He had committed too much, lost too much. He couldn't back down now. We attack, he ordered. We take every ship we have. We go to Earth. We end this now. If they use Damocles, then we all die. But I don't believe they will. They're bluffing. And if they're not, Tvek asked, then at least we die with honor, Zexthor said. Rather than living in a galaxy where primitives dictate terms to the Council, 8,000 ships. That's what remained of the Council Armada. 8,000 ships from 20 species who were still loyal to Zexthor, or too afraid to leave or too proud to surrender. They began their final journey to Earth. Admiral Webb received the news and felt his stomach drop. This was it, the moment they'd been preparing for, the moment he'd been dreading. They're really coming, Santos said. Yes, Webb replied. Damocles didn't stop them. Will we use it? Santos asked. If they attack Earth, will we really kill billions? Webb looked at her for a long moment. I don't know. But we have to make them think we will, because if they don't believe it, we've already lost. He opened a channel to all Earth forces. This is Admiral Webb, the Council is coming. Every ship, every weapon. They're coming for our home, for Earth, for everything we love. We've fought for 3 months. We've shown them what humans can do. Now we show them what humans will do to protect their home. All ships converge on Earth. All defense platforms power up. All personnel battle stations. This ends here, one way or another. Luna, Earth's moon, transformed. The entire surface opened up, revealing weapons that had been built into the rock over decades. Railguns, missile batteries, energy weapons reverse-engineered from captured Council technology. Luna wasn't a moon anymore. It was a fortress. Earth's orbital rings, the massive space stations that circled the planet, deployed millions of defense drones. Every civilian who could hold a weapon volunteered. Every ship that could fly joined the defense fleet. 3 billion humans stood ready to defend their homeworld against 8,000 alien ships, against species that had traveled the stars for millennia. It was insane. It was impossible. It was human. As the Council fleet approached the Sol system, Admiral Webb stood on the bridge of the Indomitable and looked at Earth below. He thought about his grandchildren, about every human who had ever lived, about every human who would ever be born. If we win, he said quietly to Santos, we save humanity. If we lose, we make sure they remember. We make sure the galaxy never forgets what it cost to try to conquer Earth. And if we use Damocles, Santos asked. Webb closed his eyes. Then we make sure no one wins. Mutually assured destruction, the same thing that kept us from destroying ourselves with nuclear weapons. Maybe it'll work on a galactic scale. The Council fleet entered the outer solar system. The final battle was about to begin, and the galaxy held its breath. The Council fleet emerged from FTL at the edge of Earth's solar system. 8,000 ships, the largest military force High Arbiter Zexthor could assemble. They arranged themselves in traditional battle formation, a massive wall of metal and energy advancing slowly toward Earth. On the bridge of his flagship, Zexthor looked at the blue planet in the distance. So small, so insignificant, yet it had caused so much damage to the Council's authority. Today that ended, one way or another. Sir, we're detecting the human fleet, his sensor officer reported. How many ships? 4,000, sir. They're arranging in defensive positions around Earth and Luna. Zexthor felt satisfaction. 4,000 against 8,000. Even with their tricks, the humans couldn't win this. Open a channel. All frequencies. I want the whole galaxy to hear this. When the channel opened, Zexthor spoke. Humans of Earth, you have defied the Council. You have killed our people. You have threatened the peace that has lasted 50,000 years. But this ends now. Surrender, And we will be merciful. We will imprison only your military leaders. Your people will live under our supervision. Refuse and we will destroy every ship, every station, every installation you have. Your choice. Admiral Webb's face appeared on screen. He looked older than he had 3 months ago. Tired, but his eyes were still hard. You came to our home. You threatened our freedom. You started this war. And now you want mercy? No, if you want Earth, you'll have to take it. And we'll make you pay for every meter. You cannot win, Zexthor said. Maybe not, Webb replied. But we can make sure you lose. Project Damocles is armed and ready. Every Council homeworld is targeted. If Earth falls, they fall too. That's the deal. That's the only deal. You're bluffing, Zexthor said. You wouldn't really commit genocide. Webb's expression didn't change. Try us, attack Earth and find out. The transmission ended. Zexthor stared at the blank screen. Was Webb bluffing? Could he really kill billions? Everything Zexthor knew about humans said they were capable of terrible violence. But would they really do it? He made his decision. All ships advance. Weapons free. We're ending this. The Council fleet began its final approach. The Battle of Earth had begun. The first shots were fired at maximum range. Council plasma weapons reached out across millions of kilometers. Human railguns responded. Space lit up with violence. But this battle was different from Neptune. The Council had learned. They didn't bunch up. They spread out, making themselves harder targets. They used their shields effectively, rotating damaged ships to the rear. They fought smarter, and they had numbers. For every human ship there were 2 Council vessels. The mathematics of war were simple and brutal. Admiral Webb watched the tactical display as the battle unfolded. Deploy the drones. All of them. Everything we have. Millions of combat drones poured out from Luna, from Earth's orbital stations, from hidden positions throughout the inner solar system. They swarmed the Council fleet like locusts, but the Council had adapted. They had developed drone countermeasures, point defense systems specifically designed to handle small, fast targets. The drones died in thousands, they learned, Commander Santos said grimly. Of course they did, Webb replied. We bought 3 months. They used it well. But so did we. Activate the Luna cannons. Luna's surface erupted with fire. Massive railguns, each one the size of a skyscraper, began firing. These weren't the small platforms from Neptune. These were planet killers. Weapons that could throw 1-ton slugs at 99% of light speed. When they hit, Council ships simply ceased to exist. But there were only 20 Luna cannons and 8,000 Council ships. For every ship destroyed, 10 more took its place. The battle raged for 6 hours. Slowly, inevitably, the Council fleet pushed forward. They paid a terrible price, 2,000 ships destroyed, but they kept coming. They reached Earth's orbit. Sir, Council landing ships are heading for the surface, Santos reported. They're trying to invade Earth itself. Webb felt cold. Deploy ground defense forces. And send a message to Dr. Tanaka. Tell her to prepare Damocles. Full activation. On Earth, in military bunkers, Dr. Yuki Tanaka received the order. Her hands shook as she entered the activation codes. 12,000 asteroids positioned throughout the galaxy. 12,000 wormhole generators ready to open. She had 47 target worlds on her list. 47 Council homeworlds. Billions of lives, targets locked, her assistant said. Awaiting final authorization. Tanaka looked at the launch key. 1 turn. That's all it would take. 1 turn and she would become the biggest mass murderer in history. But if she didn't, if Earth fell, humanity would be enslaved forever. Her communicator beeped. It was Admiral Webb. Status? Ready, sir, Tanaka said. But sir, I have to ask. Are we really going to do this? Webb was silent for a long moment. I don't know, Doctor. I hope we don't have to. But I need the Council to believe we will. On the Council flagship, Observer Tivek burst onto the bridge. Stop this, he shouted at Zexthor. Stop the attack now. Get off my bridge, Zexthor said. I have intelligence from my people, Tivek said desperately. The humans aren't bluffing. They've activated Damocles. It's online. They're ready to fire. I don't believe it, Zexthor said, then you'll doom us all. Tivek grabbed Zexthor by his armor. Listen to me. My spies confirmed it. They're ready. They're actually ready. If we don't stop, everyone dies. Your world, my world. 47 civilizations gone. Is your pride worth that? Zexthor stared at him. For the first time, doubt crept into his mind. What if they were serious? What if the humans really would do it? He looked at the tactical display. His fleet was winning. They were in Earth's orbit. They could win this. But at what cost? Sir, his communications officer said. We're receiving a transmission. It's from Earth. It's being broadcast on all frequencies. Put it on, Zexthor said. Dr. Tanaka appeared on screen. She looked directly at the camera, directly at Zexthor, and spoke calmly. This is Dr. Yuki Tanaka of Project Damocles. I am the person who will kill your worlds if you don't stop this attack. I don't want to. I have spent my entire life creating things, not destroying them. But I will do it. We all will, because that's what humans do. When you threaten our home, our freedom, our very existence, we will do anything to survive. Anything. So I'm asking you, begging you, stop this attack. Withdraw your forces. Let us negotiate peace, because if you don't, I will turn this key, and everyone loses. Her hand was on the launch key. The camera zoomed in to show it clearly. She wasn't bluffing. Zexthor felt something he hadn't felt in his long life. True fear, not fear of death, fear of responsibility. If he continued and the humans launched Damocles, history would remember him as the one who destroyed 47 civilizations. Would remember him as the greatest monster in galactic history. Was Council authority worth that? Was his pride worth that? All ships, he said quietly. Cease fire. Hold position. The bridge fell silent. Sir? His second-in-command asked. I said cease fire, Zexthor shouted. Then, more quietly, open a channel to the humans. To Admiral Webb. When the channel opened, Zexthor saw Webb's scarred face. The human looked as tired as Zexthor felt. We're stopping the attack, Zexthor said. We're willing to negotiate. Withdraw your forces to Mars orbit, Webb said. If you do, we'll power down Damocles. But if any ship fires, if any soldier lands on Earth, we launch. Understood? Zexthor nodded. Understood. All ships withdraw to Mars orbit. The Council fleet began to pull back. On Earth, humans watched in disbelief as the alien ships retreated. They had won. Somehow, impossibly, they had won. But Admiral Webb knew it wasn't over. Not yet. He opened a channel to Dr. Tanaka. Stand down, Damocles, but keep it ready, just in case. The negotiations took 3 days. They happened on a neutral space station between Mars and Earth. Ambassador Chen Li represented humanity. She had survived the war, though her ship had been damaged in the fighting. High Arbiter Zexthor represented the Council, though several species sent their own observers. The conference room was tense. Chen and Zexthor sat across from each other, with Tvek acting as mediator. The Council demands accountability, Zexthor began. You killed 35,000 of our people. You destroyed a Council world with Damocles. You attacked our financial systems and spread propaganda. You tried to imprison us, Chen shot back. You came to our system with a fleet and demanded our surrender. You started this war. We just finished it. Both sides bear responsibility, Tvek interjected. The Council for its arrogance and prejudgment. Humanity for its aggressive response. But assigning blame does not bring peace. We need to find a way forward. They talked for hours, then days. Finally, a framework emerged. The Treaty of Sol, as it came to be called, established new principles for the galactic community. The Council would be reorganized. No longer would it be a permanent institution with permanent members. There would be term limits, regular elections, representation for all species based on population, not power. The classification system for species was abolished. No more Category 1 through 5. No more judging species based on their past. Every species would be recognized as sovereign and equal. There would be war crimes trials. Both sides would be held accountable. Council commanders who ordered attacks on civilian targets. Human operatives who went too far in their psychological warfare. Justice would be blind, and humanity would join the Council as a full member. With one condition: Project Damocles would be dismantled under international supervision. The asteroids would be dispersed. The wormhole generators would be destroyed. But the knowledge would remain. The galaxy would remember what humans were capable of. When the treaty was signed, Chen felt a weight lift from her shoulders. She had gone from negotiator to refugee to negotiator again. Earth had survived. Humanity had survived. That was all that mattered. But the cost had been terrible. 400 million human dead, 12 billion Council casualties, one uninhabited planet destroyed, trillions in economic damage. The galaxy would take decades to recover. 6 months after the war ended, a ceremony was held on Axiom Prime, the Council's capital. The new council was being inaugurated. 47 species sent representatives, but now there were 48. Humanity took its seat among the stars. Ambassador Chen Li was appointed as the first human high counselor. She stood at the podium and looked out at the assembled representatives. "We have all learned painful lessons," she began. "The council learned that power without humility leads to tyranny, that judging without understanding leads to conflict, that the galaxy is larger and more complex than any one civilization can control." She paused, then continued. "And humanity learned that we are not alone, that our actions have consequences beyond our world, that strength must be tempered with wisdom, that survival is not the same as victory." She looked directly at where Zexthor sat. He had been allowed to remain on the council as a junior member, a symbolic gesture of reconciliation. "We do not forget what happened. We cannot forget. 400 million of my people are gone, 12 billion of yours, but we can choose to learn from it, to build something better." "The old council governed through fear and force," Chen said. "The new council will govern through cooperation and respect. We will judge no one. We will welcome all. But let this be the lesson learned in blood: underestimate any species at your peril." Humanity was underestimated. We responded with fury. Others may do the same. So we must be better, all of us. She stepped back from the podium. The chamber was silent for a moment. Then slowly, one by one, the representatives stood and applauded. Even Zexthor stood, his mandibles clicking in what might have been respect. Admiral Webb watched the ceremony from Earth. He had retired immediately after the war, refusing any honors or medals. He felt he didn't deserve them. 400 million dead. He had been prepared to kill billions more, but he had also saved humanity. That had to count for something. Commander Maria Santos visited him at his home in Colorado. They sat on his porch looking at the mountains, drinking coffee. "They're calling it the human war," Santos said. "The war where a primitive species stood up to the galaxy and won." "We didn't win," Webb said quietly. "We survived." "There's a difference, is there?" Santos asked. "We're free. We're on the council. We have a voice in galactic affairs." "That sounds like winning to me." Webb was quiet for a moment. "Do you think we would have done it if they hadn't stopped? If they had kept attacking, would we have launched Damocles?" Santos looked at him. "I think Dr. Tanaka would have. I think you would have ordered it. And I think I would have helped. Because that's what humans do. We survive. Whatever it takes. That doesn't make it right," Webb said. "No," Santos agreed. "But it makes it human." Across the galaxy, humanity's reputation grew. They became legend. The species that said no to the council. The species that fought impossible odds and won. Other species began studying human culture, human psychology, human military history. Universities offered courses on human strategic thinking. But there were also fears. Some species looked at humanity and saw monsters, saw a species that would destroy worlds to protect itself. Some species withdrew from galactic affairs, afraid of what humans might do next. Tvek, now the new High Arbiter of the Council, worked to bridge these divides. His species, the Krill, formed a close alliance with humanity. They understood each other. Both were former warrior species. Both knew the cost of war. The galaxy feared humans, Tvek said in one of his first speeches as High Arbiter, and that fear was justified. But let us not forget why humans fought so hard. They fought for freedom, for the right to determine their own destiny. These are values all species should share. The Council failed to recognize this. We tried to suppress them out of fear, and in doing so, we created the very conflict we sought to avoid. "Let humanity be a lesson," Tvek continued. "Not a lesson about violence or war, but a lesson about the danger of arrogance, of judging without understanding, of believing that might makes right." The old council believed these things. The old council is gone. The new council will be different. Must be different, or we risk creating more wars like this one. Dr. Yuki Tanaka never forgave herself for creating Project Damocles. She spent the rest of her life working to establish ethical guidelines for weapons development. She founded the Institute for Responsible Technology, which reviewed all new weapons before they could be deployed. She gave lectures about the moral weight of scientific choices. She became a voice for caution in an age where humans were rapidly developing new and terrible technologies. "I created a weapon that could destroy worlds," she said in one famous speech. I did it because I thought I was protecting Earth. Maybe I was. But I also became the person capable of killing billions. That changes you. That weight never leaves. So I'm asking all of you, all scientists, all engineers, all people who create things, ask yourselves, just because we can create something, should we? Not every problem needs a solution. Sometimes the best answer is to simply not build the terrible thing. As years passed, the war became history. Children learned about it in schools. The Battle of Neptune, the Siege of Earth, the Treaty of Sol, it became mythology, the time when humanity stood alone against the galaxy. But those who lived through it never forgot. They carried the scars, physical and mental. They remembered the fear, the desperation, the terrible choices made in the name of survival. 10 years after the war, Ambassador Chen Li returned to Axiom Prime for the anniversary ceremony. She was older now, grayer but still sharp. She stood where she had stood a decade before when the Council had judged humanity. 10 years ago, we stood here as strangers, she said to the assembled Council. The galaxy looked at us and saw primitives, saw threats, saw something to be controlled or contained, and in response, we showed you what happens when you corner a Death World species. We showed you our teeth. But that's not the whole story, Chen continued. Because after the war, we could have withdrawn, could have isolated ourselves, could have said the galaxy tried to hurt us, so we'll hurt it back. Instead, we chose to engage, to participate, to help build something better. She smiled. That's the real human story. Not the violence, though we're capable of it. Not the weapons, though we can build them. The real story is that we never stop trying, never stop fighting, never stop hoping that tomorrow can be better than today. We're stubborn that way. So yes, the galaxy should remember the human war, Chen concluded. Should remember what happened when they misjudged us. But they should also remember what came after. Remember that we chose cooperation over isolation. Remember that we chose to be part of the galactic community, even after that community tried to destroy us. That's humanity. We're complicated. We're dangerous. We're flawed. But we never ever give up. The applause was genuine this time. Not forced. Not political. Real appreciation for real words. As Chen left the chamber, she passed by a memorial. It listed the names of everyone who died in the war. Human and alien, 400 million human names, 12 billion alien names. She stopped and placed her hand on the wall. We did it, she whispered. We survived. I hope it was worth it. Behind her, Zexthor stood quietly. He had come to the memorial, too. These days he came every week. Penance, perhaps, or just remembering. Was it worth it? He asked Chen quietly. All those lives, all that death. For what? Chen looked at him. For freedom, for the right to exist on our own terms, for the chance to prove we're more than our worst moments. She paused. Was it worth it? Ask me in 100 years, if humanity and the Council are still working together, if we've built something better. Then maybe it was worth it. Zexthor nodded slowly. Perhaps you're right. Perhaps time will tell. They stood together in silence, human and alien, former enemies looking at the names of the dead. The galaxy had changed. The Council had changed. Humanity had changed. Whether it was for better or worse, only history would tell. But one thing was certain. The galaxy would never underestimate humanity again. They had trembled before Earth's might, and they had learned that sometimes the smallest, newest species can teach the oldest civilizations the most important lessons. Never judge without understanding. Never threaten without considering the cost. And never ever corner something meaner than you. Because humans were always meaner when cornered. And the galaxy had finally learned that truth.